Most people crack the moment life pushes back. One rejection, they spiral. One insult, they explode. One failure, and they convince themselves it's over. That's not resilience. That's emotional fragility, dressed up as ambition. But the Stoics knew this. Life doesn't reward the loud, the reactive, or the entitled. It rewards the unshakable, the man who can walk through hell and not blink. And that kind of mental strength, it's not given, it's trained. Stoicism wasn't just about quotes and reflection. It was a form of combat training for the mind. These ancient thinkers didn't wait for life to test them. They tested themselves, daily, ruthlessly, intentionally, because they knew something most people forget. When you're calm in chaos, you win. When you're still under pressure, you lead. When your mind doesn't break, you become unstoppable. In this video, I'll share 3 brutal but powerful Stoic drills that build the one thing every man needs: resilience. Try them for a week and watch how quickly your mind changes. Not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And that's exactly why they work. Let me know in the comments if you're ready to train like a true Stoic and build a mind no one can break. Drill number 1. The voluntary discomfort challenge. You want mental toughness, you want resilience. Then stop chasing comfort. The first Stoic drill is this: voluntary discomfort. Doing hard things on purpose, even when you don't have to. Why? Because the world won't always give you comfort. And when life forces discomfort on you, it's too late to train. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, would sleep on the floor, wear rough clothing, and eat only the bare minimum, even when he didn't have to. Why? To remind himself, I can survive this. I don't need luxury. I don't fear loss. I own my comfort. It doesn't own me. When you expose yourself to controlled discomfort, you're telling your mind, you don't make the rules, I do. You break the addiction to ease. You sharpen your tolerance for pain. You teach your nervous system that challenge is not a threat. It's a training ground. Here's how to do it. Cold showers instead of hot. Not for show, for control. That moment you want to flinch, but don't. That's mental training. Skip a meal on purpose. Let your stomach growl. Let the cravings hit. Then sit with them. Watch them come and go. Learn you're not a slave to every urge. Walk without music or stimulation. Let your thoughts catch up to you. Feel that itch for distraction and deny it. Wear plain clothes. Old shoes, something that makes you slightly self-conscious, and go out in public. Why? Because your ego needs to feel awkward. It needs to realize that embarrassment isn't fatal, it's fuel. And here's the result. When life hits you with real discomfort, you don't panic, you don't shrink, you smirk, because you've been here before. You've practiced it. You've chosen the hard path on purpose. And now when it comes uninvited, you're ready. Most men are soft because their lives are soft. Everything tailored, delivered, padded, comfortable. And the moment life removes that cushion, they break. But you become forged by friction. Not because you're reckless, but because you're prepared. So this week, try one discomfort a day. Small ones, daily. Make it a ritual, and every time you lean into the discomfort, remind yourself, this is how I build the man I claim to be. Drill number 2. The negative visualization drill. Most people avoid thinking about the worst-case scenario. They say it's negative, depressing, or unproductive. But that's because they've never used it the Stoic way. The second mental drill is negative visualization. And it's not about being a pessimist. It's about building emotional shock absorbers. The Stoics had a name for this: malorum, premeditation of evils. And it wasn't just a philosophy. It was a daily habit. Here's how it works. You take a moment and you deliberately imagine things going wrong. Not to suffer, but to prepare. You imagine losing your job. You imagine getting rejected. You imagine a plan falling through. You imagine someone close to you disappointing you, or even being gone dead. Now, that sounds dark, right? But something strange happens when you do it correctly. You calm down, because your brain, when it doesn't visualize failure, fears it more. It keeps it vague, shadowy, mysterious. But when you face it with clarity, suddenly, it shrinks. You realize, if this happened, I could survive it. If they left, I would rebuild. If I lost this, I'd be okay. See, most people think peace comes from ignoring the bad. But Stoics knew real peace comes from rehearsing it until it loses power over you. Here's how to apply it. Every morning, before the chaos begins, take 5 minutes. Ask, what could go wrong today? Not to scare yourself, but to anchor yourself. Then visualize yourself responding with strength, staying calm, adapting, learning. Visualize your character, not just the event. You can also do this at night. Ask, what do I fear losing? And sit with the feeling of it already being gone. Not forever, just enough to remember. Nothing is guaranteed. And when you open your eyes, that job, that partner, that health, that time, you'll stop taking it for granted. You'll stop whining about little things. You'll move through the day with urgency, not entitlement. That's the hidden gift of negative visualization. It makes you grateful and bulletproof, because the worst thing that could happen is to live in fear of what might happen and never prepare. So rehearse the loss. Rehearse the hit, not because you want it, but because you refuse to be broken by it. And remember, the man who's seen the fall in his mind walks taller when it never comes. Drill number 3. The response delay protocol. If you want to measure a man's strength, don't look at his body. Look at how he reacts when he's triggered. Does he snap? Does he spiral? Does he say things he can't take back? Or does he pause and own the moment? The third Stoic resilience drill is called the response delay protocol. And it's one of the hardest because it deals with your ego in real time. The Stoics believed that emotional reactivity is slavery. Epictetus said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." Let that sink in. If someone can control your mood, if they can push a button and make you explode, you're not in control. They are. And that's why the Stoics trained themselves to delay reactions, to pause. Right when the fire inside starts to build, not suppress, not pretend, but step back, observe, and choose a response from reason, not rage. Here's the drill. For 24 hours, you delay every emotional response by just 5 seconds. Someone insults you. Pause, count to 5. Breathe, then choose. Is this worth your energy? Someone cuts you off in traffic. Pause, let them speed away. Remember, you don't need to join their chaos. Partner says something that stings. Pause, repeat in your head. Control how I respond. Speak from clarity, not wounded pride. Even inward reactions count. You mess up a task, don't curse yourself. Pause, ask, what can I learn from this? Why does this work? Because every second you delay, you Shift the brain from fight or flight to logic. You create space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you find freedom. The average person reacts to everything, like a puppet pulled by emotions. But the Stoic man, he chooses what's worth reacting to. He decides when to speak and when to stay silent. He's not cold, he's composed. Think about how powerful that is, to walk into a room, people trying to provoke you, trying to get a rise out of you, and you just sit there, still, unmoved, untouchable. That's real strength. That's leadership. That's mental warfare, won without a word. So try this, just one day. Delay your reactions by 5 seconds. Write down what changed. Notice how many battles you walk past instead of into. Because once you master this, you don't just win arguments, you win yourself. And that's the foundation of real Stoic resilience.